Hey friends, Dr. Motley here, and today I wanted to discuss with you generational illnesses, generational strep. Can you have the tendency to acquire or get strep because one of your ancestors had it too? What if your mom or your dad or your great-grandparent or your great-great-grandparent or somebody in your generational tree had strep or any other infection? Could that tendency for you to get it be passed to you? Well, some of the research says yes. Now, this is a very cool phenomenon, and I want you to give me information if you have some that's yay or nay. If you agree with it or not, please send me this information because I love genetics. I like to learn more and more about it because I have many people that come into the office and they will ask me, Doc, my parent had this exact same thing at this particular age that I'm in right now when they were, my age. Can that be passed on to me? Because these patients, they'll ask me, could you get the tendency to have like strep B? Or could you get streptococcus pneumonia? Could those kind of infections be passed on through the womb or through breast milk? That is always a possibility, yes. Physical contact can actually create infections within babies and they can grow through it throughout their life. But what happens when you don't have any symptoms and your strep test showed negative and at a particular age you get an infection just like your parent had at that particular age? Is it coincidence? I don't know, but I don't think so. I just like to investigate. If that's the case with you, chronic strep could have been a problem with your parents and you think, am I ever going to get rid of it? Because it's in my genetic coding. I can't ever get rid of it like high blood pressure or cardiovascular disease. Well, there's a thing called epigenetics. It means that you have a particular genetic code sequence. And the genetic code sequence never changes, right guys? They say a base sequence of your genes are ordered in a particular line or order. So you can't really change that order, but you can change the expression of the gene. How does it express itself? Does it express itself with healthy, happy cholesterol levels? Or does it express itself with bad cholesterol levels? Remember, that's how a coding works, like a computer. You put a code into the system, and that code will then create proteins in your body to create the organ system and the hormones and all the biochemical constituents in your body to create either a positive effect or negative. Does that make sense? If your parent had a weak gallbladder and their genetic coding had what? A base sequence that expressed itself with defective proteins to create the actual tissue of your gallbladder, right? The coding was set up to code and give your what? RNA that helps copy that DNA to make the proteins. So you could actually code for defective gallbladder tissue. That's an example. So you have this gallbladder that's being made that has what? Weakened tissue. Because the shape of the actual DNA, the shape of your chromosomes, can actually be affected by environmental stresses. If you're in a bad relationship, if you have toxic air you breathe in, if you have toxic water you drink, if you have a bad diet that's consistently given to you all your life, that can actually change the shape of your chromosomes. It doesn't change the sequence, it changes the shape, which then gives a defective acquiring of nutrients through your DNA. For example, there's a thing called telomeres. And telomeres are small tail-like structures that come off your chromosomes, all right? And what they do is they reach out and they grab all the nutrients that you ingest because most nutrients are broken down to carbon and hydrogen, such as methylation. Methyl groups, carbon and hydrogen. Those tails reach out and grab the nutrients and curl them in. It's a natural protective mechanism. If there is a defective gene that could be copied, a lot of times the telomere will go out and grab the nutrient and cover up that defective gene so it's not copied. So you won't create the proteins to create a defective gallbladder. Again, the example. Does that make sense? It could be any tissue, lung tissue, heart tissue. Proper nutrients need to be grabbed and held by your chromosomes. That's why vitamins and minerals are so important in your genetics, is because you want to give your body the fuel to what? Keep those defective genes, those variant genes, from expressing themselves. See how it works? Okay, so whenever your parent could have had strep, this is an argument. I'm going through this with you guys. If your parent had an infection, let's say they had strep at age 30, and their body was bombarded by the environment. In epigenetics, they say that the environment, that bombards you can change the expression. If it keeps beating you up, your body has to do what? It has to acclimate to the stress. If you're in a bad relationship all day, what do? You may be releasing more cortisol, more adrenaline, more than you ever would. What does your adrenal glands have to do? It has to accommodate. So your body will then do what? It'll pump up the cortisol and the adrenaline. What does it do to your DNA? It changes the shape of them because they have to do what? has to grab more nutrients. I got to be able to express physical activity or more strength in my adrenal glands, so I better get more nutrients in. But at the same time, it could weaken other systems. And eventually, if the adrenal glands wear out, this is an example, they can actually what? Deplete those adrenal glands. And at times, if you don't have enough nutrients, if you don't have the right proper nutrition or a healthy, stress-free environment, those telomeres start to shorten. And so they can't reach out and grab the nutrients. And so you don't have the nutrients to cover up the defective genes, and then sickness starts to express itself. Isn't that pretty crazy? So if you had strep that was releasing toxins and all the things that it goes into the joints and all of the proteins that it adheses to in your tissue, and they can stick onto certain parts of your body, certain organs, the lungs, the throat, the sinuses. I may put up a link to this really cool article about adhesins, how they stick to your body. And they literally can create such toxicity and such detriment to your body that it can change what? The length of the telomeres, change the length of the chromosomes. They can't be healthy. Additionally, your DNA, remember, and your chromosomes all have piezocrystals, which means they're all reflectors of light. There's small crystals within your DNA and chromosomes that act as memory banks, like fiber optics. This is what the research is saying. And they say that these crystals actually transmit light, sound, frequency, and that is a memory bank. Remember, emotions, trauma pass through your body through the fascial system, through the piezoelectric system. And your DNA records, just like your fascia, certain events in life, like literally the iCloud. And so if you got strep in the body and you recorded those times where I was like, oh, I have so much toxicity from strep. Oh, I'm in a bad situation right now at 30 years old. These are your parents and your grandparents. Oh, I'm in this toxic work environment. Your DNA, your chromosomes record in your subconscious, in your DNA through the piezocrystals, and they say that it records it in your DNA and your chromosomes. So you actually have fiber optics working in your body, recording every event. And it marks what your body's biochemistry was doing at the same time. Like literally heightened cortisol, heightened adrenal glands. In this case, strep infections. What was my body doing at 30 years old when I had a strep infection? So it's recording all this information. Your telomeres are changing. You're trying to get more information or more nutrients out of the environment into the bloodstream. Your parents are, your grandparents, and they're trying to accommodate or acclimate or adapt. So it's all recorded at that age. Now let's say that piezocrystal formation or that section of DNA, whether it's from a mom or dad, what if that exact portion of it or from your grandparent was passed on to you? And you had an exact match of the DNA, because there's certain portions of you that are exact matches of your grandparents and your parents, just sections of them. Now let's say that if it's passed to you and you got to 30 years of age and somehow it triggered that portion or some environmental stress in your life basically rang the bell of that portion of DNA that triggered your ancestors. So let's say it was a bad work environment or a bad relationship or toxic food that a grandparent ate 30 years of age, and you get into a situation at 30 years of age right now and you do the same thing that they did, and it rings or it triggers that portion of the DNA, its frequency. It reminds your body, or it reminds that portion that has a fiber optic, the piezocrystals, of the same frequency that happened to them is happening to you. So if you get this gene to turn on because of the environmental stress, the defective gene, then they're saying, if that's the case and your body has a memory of strep, that it can actually create a frequency in your body. Maybe there's a weakness in the body. And that weakness makes your body more susceptible to what? Strep, because strep is what beat up your ancestor or your parent. And all the organs that were formed in your body, right, in relation to your parents, probably has the memory of chronic strep. So your body does not have necessarily the capability to fight off chronic strep if you get it. I know it's a lot, guys, but people have asked me this. So if your parent had a chronic strep infection, you may not have the lymphocytes, the white cell blood formation. You may not have, if it's in your lungs, a strong lung capacity or strong lung immune system reaction to help fight off the infection of strep, because your parent had the same problem. Your body, they learned to get beat up by strep and live with it. It may have gave you the information to get beat up by strep and live with it. Isn't that amazing? That's what they call miasm. There's a guy named Hahnemann. Many people think he's kind of crazy. Some people think he's a genius. It's where a lot of our homeopathics come from. He says that everybody has a genetic tendency from their parent, because of the memory passed on through their DNA, through their body, through their cells, to acquire certain infections such as Epstein-Barr virus, strep, staph, gonorrhea, some people say tuberculosis, polio, that they can all shape the body's tissue so that it's weakened, so it can't get rid of that infection that their grandparent or their parent or grandparent had. So it makes you very weak to be able to push it out of your body. Does that make out of your body? So the influence of the ancestors comes to you. Now, can you get rid of it? That's epigenetics. Can you get rid of the environment? You have to get out of a stressful environment if it's a toxic environment, but sometimes you may think, I can't. That's the importance of the nutrients. That's why I say if you start to get rid of the infection and remind your body that there are certain supplements or herbs, and even through the work of methylation, check it out, Dr. Jay Dunn, My Happy Genes, or even Dr. Amy Yaskow, who works with autism kids with methylation. He talks about putting nutrients into your genes. Check them out. But if you have the proper nutrients, you can use every aspect of your body. The emotional body, the chemical body, the mechanical body, good body work, chiropractic, kinesiology, physical therapy, spiritual healing, prayers, meditations, people who do energetic work on you, and you can use proper nutrients and proper exercise and yoga, core strengthening, any type of exercise. Use all aspects of your body to retrain you where you are right now in this age. Start cleaning all those infections out with the nutrients or the herbals we talk about. And remind your body that what? I can grow those telomeres again. Your telomeres can grow back out. If you get your body out of the stressful environment now, you can what? Stop the expression of the old ancestor gene that was given to you. Isn't that cool? You can actually what? Say, hey, turn off. We don't need you. I'm in a healthy environment right now. I got all the light in the world going through my body. You can use nutrients, your biochemistry, your physical body, your emotional body, healing with EMDR, certain types of emotional releasing techniques, spiritual healing to help remind your body right now that it doesn't have to remember those old things. Turn off that old gene. That's how the expression of the genes can make you more susceptible. It can format bad information to create bad proteins that give bad organ tissue, which does not allow you to get rid of strep. But you can turn it all off with the things we just mentioned. Guys, this was a long video. I hope this was clear. If it wasn't, let me know. I'll try to reshoot. I hope this works well. Yes, I'm wearing the same outfit from the last video because I had a really good snow day and I just wanted to get it all knocked out. But I love y'all and I'm there presently with you. So guys, have a good day. And I'm gonna put a link, I don't know whether this post or the next or the last one, about the adhesins and about strep and how it can stick in your body for a long time. It's pretty gross, but pretty cool. See ya.